Evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're all doing safe and well. So tonight we are joined by two, I'd say old, but they're not old. They're
really old.
You know, well, Will's getting on a wee bit. You know how it is. But time has been kind to him, as you can see. He's still a fine figure of a man. So we're joined by Cat Armstrong and Will Armstrong of Paranormal Exposures.
Nice
Well, as a fellow Ouija, same as myself, actually from the same kind of area, about 2 streets apart or something like that, of Glasgow's arm. But then he defected. He defected to the other side of the pod when he met this lovely lady. No, she's down there. So Will's joining us from home tonight, and Kat is joining us from the famous Edinburgh Manor. Got it right, didn't I?
Yeah, you got it right, Scott.
That's because it's written above her head. There's Laura. I hope you're feeling better, dear. Gorgeous people. I hope I'm included in that wee gorgeous there.
I think she means mostly me, but a little bit of William.
And so I don't get a percentage.
I'm sure she means you as well now, Scott, but, it's just no public. I
don't know why I have your wife on a few times, well, because she's always that complimentary to me, do you know what
I mean? You're like the type of guy that's, you can't just help but give you compliments to,
Exactly, but, to Kat, I'm the kind of guy you can't help but slag off.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
I know she loves me dearly anyway.
I only pick on people I love, Scott.
So what do you do to your enemies?
I don't talk to them.
Well,
I don't give them. I don't give them a moment of my time.
Well, I suppose then, since you talk to me, you must like me then.
Exactly.
Good, that's good, because I was worried. I was worried there for a couple of seconds. Anyway, Will and Kat are Paranormal Exposures from the other side of the pond, as you can tell. We've had them on a few times, but it's been quite some time. What's Laura saying? What Kat said, I love you. Sorry, put up. I love you. Sorry, put up with you. But we'll talk later, Laura. Don't worry. Don't you just stay round the corner. I think she forgets how close she lives to us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So today it's just a general catch up with these two lovely people. And but Kat is going to tell us a bit about where she is, because this is quite a famous place in Will and Kat's area. And Will and Kat kind of worked there, for one of a better word.
Yeah. Second time for us, like Loudon Kirk is for you.
That's true, because they're always at the manor. But I don't think it's ever been explained exactly the sort of rough history of the building and stuff like that. So since Kat's actually there, now also she can't film inside, which is fair enough. But since Kat's actually there, we thought, well, why don't get her to tell us a bit about it?
Absolutely. So this is the beautiful Edinburgh Manor, located in Scotch Grove, Iowa. This building was built in 1910. There was another building that was on location before this one that dates back to 1850s. And that one was on the location up until about 1910 when they started building this one. I'm trying to find a less windy part of the building. So this building basically housed poor and homeless and people with physical and mental disabilities and various other reasons that people would have been living here. Out in the middle of the country, because it was originally about 300 acres of farm that they worked to be able to put the food on the table, and pay to upkeep the building. They sold the extra stuff that they grew so that they could pay for the expenses. On average, 20 plus people per year lived in the first house. This one housed more than that. This is a little over 12,000 square feet. And it's just an amazing place. We had a poor farm, county home. It became a nursing care facility many years later. Just kind of a fantastic, awesome building. Closed in 2010. So it was only 15 years ago that people were still living in here. So pretty fun space.
So you guys have done a lot of investigations there
Yeah, absolutely.
over the years,
And
I
we'll be
know
back here in 2 weeks.
I know there's one particular spirit that's took a liking to you.
Which one is
I'm
that,
going to say a
William?
name, and is it George? Am I right?
George.
It's no George in it. No, I've got that wrong, William, isn't it?
No, I thought it was Jerry.
Jerry.
Oh, Jerry. Yeah, we
Well,
do
I
have
knew it began with a G. So I was,
begins with a J. A jai.
G. It's not a J. A J's not that. A G.
It's a jai.
It's, do that again. It's a J.
So yeah,
G.
we have a patient that used to live here named Jerry, and Jerry lived here most of his life, and he actually didn't pass away here. He was moved up to skilled nursing about 10 miles away because of his health, where he passed away 2 weeks after they moved him. And it's kind of interesting because, again, he didn't die here, but he came home. But he lived here most of his life, more than 50 years. And he comes and he talks through spirit boxes, and he likes to talk about drums, but we know that he played drums in the Edinburgh Band back in the 90s. And his favorite thing in the whole world is Davy Crockett, which is a very American thing. But he used to run around in here when he was alive wearing a raccoon hat, just like the Davy Crockett character would have in everything that he would have seen or read about. So,
Do you think he's came back? Also, as you say, passed away elsewhere.
Mhm.
Do you think he's came back there because he lived there for 50 plus years?
yeah.
Because that was his happy place.
In fact, his room was in this section right here. So
So you think he came back because that was his happy place, a place where he spent most of his life, obviously?
most of his life was here. He seemed to be because I've talked to some staff over the timelines that have met him and knew him, and they basically say he was just this really happy-go-lucky guy, really good energy, always optimistic and really polite, and he still is. You know, you'll get a male voice on Spirit Box, and you'll be like, well, I just heard a man talking. Can you tell me who it is? And he'll be like, it's Jerry. And you're like, whoa, that was clear. Kind of startles you sometimes with the clarity of it when he says his name. But it's just fascinating. It really is a very cool experience when you get a communication with him, because he's just very upbeat. It's not scary, dark, or any of the things that so many people come here to try to interact with. It is just a very positive, heartfelt interaction. My favorite story of Jerry is actually kind of silly. I usually, when I show up to check people in, I usually will come out and do a walk through the building, make sure chairs and beds and everything's in place, and pick up toys if I need to, and sweep floors and whatnot. And I was doing my normal walkthrough, and I'd gotten up to the other side. So we've got a men's wing, which is this side, and the women's wing is on the other side over there. And I was doing my normal walkthrough, and I get up to the second floor women's side, and I get a man's voice coming through, and I'm like, who's the man that I just heard coming through? It's Jerry. I'm like, okay, what do you need? And he goes, missing. And I'm like, missing? Well, I already was in your room like 10 minutes ago. Let me finish up what's up here, and then maybe I can come down and check out whatever's happening down there. And I'm like, I got some kind of mumbly male sound. So I'm like, that was probably him being like a sadly agreeable, like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I start walking towards the center staircase, and through the spirit box shouted really loudly is stolen. And I'm like, oh no. So we've got two things that are here. At the time we only had one. It's a Davy Crockett book that a friend of mine donated as a trigger object, or a thing for Jerry to have. And this book's usually sitting on his bed or the nightstand next to his bed, because we have a specific bed that was the space that he was at. And sure enough, I'm like coming down the stairs like, oh my God, his book's been stolen. This is going to be horrible. It's vintage. I don't know how I'm even going to get another one. And I get down there and I'm looking, and sure enough, his book is not on his bed or the dresser or the nightstand or the floor. And I'm like, shoot, now what? And then I glance over and here his book is sitting on the next bed over. And I'm like, are you serious? You just made me run all the way down here because your book is on the other bed? And the spirit box male laugh comes through. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. You know, you just made me like freak out, run down here, and your book is like just on the next bed over. Okay, I got you. So I moved the book back, but it's just kind of funny because, you know, there's humor in that. It's acknowledgement of understanding something that we've modernly brought into the space.
Mm-hmm.
It's having an intelligent communication with me saying, hey, I need you to find something for me, and me interacting with that directly. You know, there's so much depth to just that simple interaction.
Do you think he used the word stolen to get you to act quicker? Maybe he had in his mind, you know, well, if I just wanted to go somewhere, she's that used to me, she might take her time and go and do other stuff first. But if I use a specific word, then that'll make her run or go right to my room, basically.
Apparently. It worked. It definitely worked. Off I went.
That shows intelligence, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does.
And it shows that it actually proves a point that even, and we've said this in many a show, after we pass, we take our personality in everything ways. So that actually proves a point that, you know, even though he's passed, but he's back there where he belongs, that he's still got that, you know, I'm going to make you hurry up. I'm going to play a joke on you.
Right.
Basically.
I agree.
As he forthcoming, I know he's doing events and stuff there, so you get countless people in and out, you know, on a week or monthly basis, whatever. Is he forthcoming with everybody, or has he got that kind of selected few that he prefers?
So it's interesting. He has spoken up on tours when I'm giving tours, so he's not afraid to talk in front of others. He's not always there. So he's not here because he's stuck here. And a lot of people are always like, well, why would he be stuck here? And I'm like, he's not, I don't think he is. There's days where I've gone weeks without a communication from Jerry, and then he pops back in and he's like, hey, it's Jerry. And you're like, oh, well, welcome back. You know, it's so good to talk to you. I tell people on tours about him, mostly because I want people to interact with him. If he's here and it's happy, why wouldn't we want to all share that? Some people get him. We've had a lot of people that have captured and had conversations with him, a lot of different experiences. And I just think it's awesome that it's something that is very repeatable, very shareable, very, you know, it's genuine. It's intelligent. Everybody's interactions are different. We get a whole bunch of different conversations. He's very reactive to anything Davy Crockett. So we people come in and play him the music from the show and read him the book, and we've got a little raccoon hat in there for him now too, because apparently he used to wear one when he lived here. And it's just kind of awesome to have all of those things still exist in this space, and that we're able to acknowledge and give him the love and attention that he obviously enjoys. So
just what you said, I'll put his comments up, because just what you said there raised two questions that we've asked in recent shows. And I did say, well, earlier on, I had a couple of questions to ask him, and you kind of read my mind, Cat. Do you know what I mean? So these two sets, I'll stick these up, and then I'll question your man. That's my serious face again there, by the way. Now, I don't know if that look we got off of Will was a look of worry because he's going to ask me something, or he was kind of shook up with my serious face.
He was shaking his head at you. I know he was.
Yeah, definitely loud.
Or maybe he thought you had not done enough steps that day, but that's amazing. Maybe he wanted to up your step count a wee bit.
Oh, thanks, Laura. Yeah. No, I don't use a step counter, so I wouldn't have any idea.
There's wee Eileen for Fancy Seekers Paranormal. Evening, Dom. And Laura's saying good evening. So the two questions I was going to bring up was when you were saying, Kat, that sometimes he's not there.
Right.
Right. So a couple of weeks ago we did a show and we're talking about where graveyards are haunted and, you know, and where the spirits go if they're not in the graveyard. Right, well, I'm going to put you in the spot.
Okay.
I love it. So I feel a power here, and I'm going to put you in the spot. I feel like Jeremy Kyle. No, Will, your name's Cat, dear. That's Will over up there. Your Cat.
He's
Will.
up, Jeremy Kyle.
He's maybe coming back. By the way, I missed Jezza. Cat probably doesn't know who he was or who he is.
I know who that is. Williams forced me into knowing who that is.
Oh, Jezza was brilliant. The Shogi took off, I don't know, a few years ago now, but there's talk in the mill about him coming back. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So when see when Jerry's no there, right, where do you think he goes?
That's an interesting point. And honestly, I think I can be honest and say I don't know where he goes. I have no clue where he goes. He's also goes somewhere.
Could he maybe get back to... I know spirits can come in and out in visitation, which we've all seen at different points, investigations and stuff. Do you think that is maybe the case with Jerry, or that he goes somewhere else, maybe to where he was born or wherever?
It's quite possible. He could be in many places at once. I think spirits... I don't think they're stuck, or not stuck, but confined to one place. They can probably be at many places as they want. And I think there's certain places he probably has that we don't know about that maybe he goes to because it meant something to him. Also, the manor is one place. That's a big chunk of his whole... That's naturally his whole natural life spent in one location.
Yeah.
So you think of the staff that he would have known and the residents in there he would have known, come and go over the years. So it makes sense that place is like probably number one on his list to come back to. Where he goes after he's done, well, we don't know,
Just what you said there, Will, brings me to another question, which I'll ask after my next one. It's actually something... you guys are reading my mind, because there's something I was watching the other day and somebody says something and it kind of blew my mind. But that doesn't take very much to do that, mind you. I get very easily confused, as you know. What about you, Kat? Where do you think he goes? You any idea where Jerry disappears to?
I think Spirit has access to go to wherever the heck they want to go to. I think that they have other places that we don't have access to in physical form, and I think that they just have the freedom to be where they want to be. I think it's all instant. I don't think they're driven by timelines like we are. I think it's just, hey, going to be here. Hey, going to be there. And it just is what it is.
My next question, Eileen's wanting a wee roundup. She came in late, but we'll forgive her for that. So Will's at home and Kat is at Edinburgh Manor, which I'll let Kat quickly tell you about because you missed the start of Eileen, but it's all right. You're forgiven.
Not a problem. So yeah, Edinburgh Manor is in Scotch Grove, Iowa, eastern Iowa, United States. And it is an old poor farm, county home that used to operate to house the poor, the incurably insane, people with mental, physical disabilities, and various other reasons. And they basically operated a 200 to 300 acre farm to be able to put food on the table and have an income and various other things. And Jerry is one of the patients or residents. Early years, they would have been called inmates, which is just the terminology of the time. They weren't actually like prisoners or anything like that. But yeah, just a very interesting place. This building was built in 1910, and it operated as a county home up until the late 1980s, and then it became a nursing care facility, and then it closed down in 2010. So Jerry is just one of the many patients that spent time living inside this building.
And he's still around today. So I'll put this up for Laura and then I'll get my second thingy for you. Before being Edinburgh Man, he obviously had a family, a child, and a firm believe that, like Will said, they can go where they want, places that make them happy and wanted to. Yeah, definitely. So when you were saying, Kat, that sometimes, it's been a few weeks, before you've heard from him again, with a gap. Do you think it's a few weeks to us, right? Could we say, for instance, 3 weeks to us?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's 3 weeks to him or
not
a split second?
I think it is not measured anymore once we get past this lifetime.
a lot of stress and high energy. Because I was told something, it was a spirit's awareness of time. You know, so maybe 3 weeks to us, but it could be like a split second to them. Would you think, well, do I leave Will out? They're right up there in the corner.
I think that, like, also, we don't know how they measure time. Also, with a physical form, also, that's how we measure time is our physical form, you know. But with a spirit that no longer has that, then obviously seconds could be hours could be years, you know. It just depends on what. Maybe is it different for each spirit? Is it all the same right across the board? Well, I don't know. But I was reading a story. It actually popped up on my page last week. It was in a book called Coast to Coast Ghosts. It's written by Leslie Rowe. And it's basically her gathering a bunch of experiences for haunted locations and the staff that work there and people that have been there. You know, experiences that they've had. And one of her chapters was based on, it's called Babes with Eyes. And it's basically about kids seeing spirits. You know, these adults as kids having an experience with a spirit, a home that they lived in or a location. And it was a story about a little girl. Well, the woman was telling a story about how she was between 6 and 7 years old at the time, and when her parents moved into this house, her bedroom was in this attic. And when she would be up there, she would see these 3 women sitting around having this little sort of tea party. Like, she knew they were there, but they were kind of like a distorted form. But she would sit and talk with them, and they were very polite and very, you know, all that kind of thing. And one night, one of them, she gets waken up by one of them telling her, "You need to go now." And the lassie realises that something's not right. The house is shaking. Well, it turns out there's an earthquake that's happening. And the spirit tells her, "Go on your belly and crawl towards the door." And then from there, crawl down towards your parents' bedroom. Where she does, she gets to safety, you know. So if spirits are operating on a different time for us, right, if they are. Now, in that moment, this spirit directing this little girl out the attic to her parents' bedroom, does that mean that spirit is operating on our timeline or our time as opposed to, you know, a second is an hour is, you know, that kind of thing? It's something that makes you think
in the future.
Yep.
You know, so this spirit's seen what's going to happen, and as you should be, well, about an hour's time. And so, right, well, I better warn so-and-so, you know, I better go and let them know what's going to happen. It's kind of mind-boggling, isn't it? A wee bit.
It is, and I like little things that challenge you like that, because then my thought process a week ago was different, and now when I've read this just one tiny little single-page experience, it makes me think differently now. So I was, okay, didn't expect that.
That's how sometimes, you know, in investigation, we like to, we've never done an answer to it yet that I can remember. We like to ask, you know, who's on the throne, you know, or who's the king, who's the queen, whatever, to see if we get some kind of reply back, you know, to somebody says, you know, Henry VIII or whatever. But we've never had that. But here's another thing. Oh, you go.
That's the same kind of question we do here. Is like, who can you tell me who the president of the United States is? To see if they say, you know, Andrew Jackson
Lincoln or something.
Lincoln, you know, then you can get a kind of timeline of who you're, you know, what they're kind of at, you know.
Aye, it does. I'll set your comment up in a wee minute, Laura, because if I don't ask this now, I'll forget all about it. Aye, so we were saying, well, a few minutes ago about spirits being able to be in 2 or 3 different places at the same time. Right? I was watching something the other night, and this guy was talking about that. He says, you know, us in spirit, we can be at A, C, and Y at the same time and see what's going on. So that kind of threw me a wee bit. Now, I'm not the most intelligent as guys, you know. I mean, I've got the looks, I've just not got the intelligence. You can't have both. You know what I'm saying? Well, you're the same as me. You know. Cat's not even reacting to that issue.
I was trying to figure out what I heard out here that I thought I had to come running back to the front because I thought I heard a car door shutting, but there's nobody here.
Did Jerry drive?
Jerry does not drive.
Couldn't have been.
Jerry was not a race car driver.
Jerry was a race car driver, but
well, who knows?
no,
Could be.
I came straight up through the building because I heard something out here, but there's nobody out here. So
That brings me another question with Jerry, which I'll come back to. Aye, so this guy was saying we can be X, Y, and Z at the same time and see what's going on in these different locations. So I started thinking, how would that work? If you take it from the spirit's point of view, what would you be seeing? Does that question make sense?
now you're getting into William's realm.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, also, if a spirit can be at multiple places, like, does it see everything? Then it can interact with what it chooses to, Or do you take it a different spin and say, think of human limitation, right? We don't, like, as living human beings, I know me, you, and Kat can't be in 5 different places at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can a spirit? If it couldn't do that in life, because that's what it knows it can do, can it still do it as a spirit? Or
So,
is it?
I want to, because this just jumped in my head, William, I'm going to throw this out there because I want you to think on it.
All right.
I physically can still remote view other places and be in other places mentally with my abilities. How does that tie in? I mean, I can physically be here, but I can remote view and be other places and see things that I shouldn't know and see. I've done it with Richard when we did an event we did that investigation with the mirrors, and I was connecting in with colors of carpets and what the doors in the hallways looked like in a building of a place that I'd never been before.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I guess it's a theory I've been playing about with is like a human limitation. Like, can spirits walk through a wall? As a human being, you can't walk through a wall. So we assume a spirit can, but do we know it can?
But my mediumship psyche can go through a wall.
I would say they can walk through a wall, but then there's the old scenario. I will put a comment up, Laura, don't worry. There's the old scenario that when you see a spirit walking through a wall, back in their time, that was a doorway.
Yep.
So
because the location has changed.
So we're not actually seeing it walking through a wall. We're just seeing a kind of reenactment, a replay.
A residual or place memory moment.
But that kind of threw me when this guy says, can be in X, Y, and Z. And you think, well, what would we see? What would we spirits see then? Would we be seeing 3D, like split screen kind of thing? I don't know. That can't be possible, surely.
I mean,
you're still thinking too much in the human structured format. You're still in a physical sense when you're starting to say, is it visually 3 screens? You're still looking at it as a physical form, and it's not a physical form, it's a spiritual form.
Then what would you see as spirit?
Well, that brings me to one of John E.L. Tenney's books that I read, and he was talking about, I think I've mentioned this before, but he was talking about his favourite EVP that he ever got, and he's done EVPs for years. He had sat down and asked a question, like, what do you see when you see us, kind of thing, the kind of basic standard question. And the EVP he called was a Class A EVP of everything. So if a spirit is looking at us and seeing everything, is it seeing everything like what's in the room, or is it seeing the whole building? It's seeing each flare. It's seeing where everybody is, and then it can go in and interact how it chooses. Where it wants to chooses, choose to interact with Cat in the second, or me in the first. That kind of thing.
Aye, I think it's just complicated and it loses me. Do you know what I mean? It loses me very, very easily. Laura says that makes sense. When we were at Loudon and then we got through the spirit box, are you ghosts? And we spoke about this. I don't know if I spoke to you guys about this before.
I don't think so. Which one?
We did an investigation at Loudon. I think Rosie Cardy and Andrea, our partner, were there, and we got asked quite clearly through the spirit box, are you ghosts? Now, we've never been asked that. Never ever been asked that at Loudon or anywhere else for that matter. So that kind of threw us.
Right.
Who was asking the question? And
It's interesting, isn't it?
it was wee Eileen that was talking about, and Eileen knows she loses me with this, the multi-level time thing. You know, try no laugh, cat. All right, I'm from
That's how you
Glaswegian.
get it to work.
That's multi-level thing. You
Yep.
you know what I was talking about. So I thought, well, as somebody, all right, well, as somebody for the future investigating Loudon, and they're picking up on us.
I mean, that's a good shout. I mean, we've talked also about like mimics at Edinburgh. People have heard, like Kat has heard a couple of team members' voices there that I've never, like, when they're not there.
When they're not there.
So is that something mimicking their voice, you know, like a spirit's picking up their voice and just mimicking it to Kat? Or is Kat hearing past investigations that we've done?
Oh,
you know, and that makes sense for you, you know?
I've been back to that with so you know, Sarah and I can't do so going back to Christianity, God is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, for going to one. So she meaning that 3 different spirits could be seen at different times at the same time. Like, I'm lost with that one. I lost it. I'm not coming to that when the spirit may not see as we do, but have complete awareness. So spirit, they know exactly what's going on all around about them, and maybe further afield, even though they can't see it.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing about the paranormal. It's like it's a constant changing thing, and everything that you do in it is everything's just all theory, you know. There's nothing set.
I'm going to pop out for a minute because I have somebody randomly pulling up to property. So if you can put me backstage for a second, I will be back in a minute.
But yeah, like everything is theory, nothing is set. So like all these different ideas are really interesting to me. You know, what if that was, like you said, somebody for the future investigating and asking, "Are you the ghost?" You know, what if it was a ghost thinking you guys are the ghosts and saying, "Are you? You know, I hate you ghosts." You know.
Mm-hmm. I found it weird. The word. Well, I found it weird being asked that first off, but I found it weird using the word ghost because it's not really a word that a lot of teams, I can't speak for every team, but I know cats with body, I don't need to see the body stream of cats keep popping in the body stream. But it's not really a common word with the investigations, you know. I know people use the word ghost, but we hate, you know, you make it sound like you've got a big net of thoughts, but it's just when I use ghosts, is somebody for the future who are watching us. And then when we're asking questions, are they answering? Is it they that's answering us? Or is it spirits answering us?
That's the thing, you don't know. But you're like you have like a set amount of ideas where you think, okay, I think it could be this or X, Y, Z. You just don't know for sure. I mean, I've read a story like that before where there was a guy at location, he was in an investigation, he was asking, you know, this set of questions, and then he started getting asked questions by what he thought was a spirit. Like it was investigating him. And he's like, it felt so weird because I was getting asked questions as if I was the ghost. Mm-hmm. And that could be your same thing. Is that somebody for the future, like thinking that he is a ghost and then asking him questions about being a ghost, you know?
So it's happened elsewhere then?
Aye.
Laura says, you also did mention the fact that spirits are talking amongst themselves, not affected to us. Can also see the sound echoey. We're echoey.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, your sound's gone, I think, Scott. Yeah, your sound.
How's that?
There you go. It was weird because your voice was quiet and it was echoey. Like I thought like something was wrong with your mic, and you were talking and you were saying something about like it's you saying your voice was echoey. I had it sounds. I had a weird voice coming through this mic. I'm like, is that because we're sitting outside Cat's sitting outside Edinburgh?
I don't know. My mic looks fine.
It was weird. It was like the voice was quiet and it was echoey. Because like at one point I'm leaning in to hear you. Like I can still hear you. It's just quiet. And then it picked up a little bit, and then all of a sudden it just went out and I couldn't hear you.
I've no idea, bud. I'm watching down the bottom of my screen for your missus coming back. I said, Laura was saying we also picked up EVPs, spirits talking to each other. But they weren't talking to us, they were talking amongst ourselves.
Like they might not even be aware you're there. You know?
They might not be aware we're there, but aware we're there, or they knew we were there and they were talking. We couldn't pick up every word that was being said, but we could hear the whispering. I think the good lady's back.
Like they know you're there, but they're just ignoring you and talking to each other. Like
they're wanting up.
People again, you know, let's just keep quiet and hopefully they'll go away kind of thing, you know.
I mean, at Loudon, you know, I've told them, you know, while I was up at the farm, and we have EVP sentences saying, you know, Scott was up at the house, Scott was up at the farm. So we know that they're there and they're aware of what we're saying to them. Because they've and so the spirit, whoever it was that says Scott's been up at the farm, you wonder, who are they telling?
Who they're talking to.
They're obviously telling somebody, they're not telling us. So you think, well, who are they telling that I was up at the house, up at the farm? That's what we go.
Like a hierarchy.
Scott was at the farm. There's Eileen saying, I do, but this is where it was. Multi-layer existence strata.
Eileen's my kind of lady. She's talking the way that I talk. I love it.
Eileen can be quite complicated at times, but with that kind of stuff, you know, the multi-layer exists. That she lost me. I think we were on a show together, and she just totally bang. I was lost. I was gone. You know. Laura said there was weird whispering as well.
Yeah, I heard the weird whisper. That's what I was talking about. There was some weird whispering come through, like a guy's voice. I couldn't make out what was getting said. And I'm like...
And Eileen heard that. I never heard a thing.
I thought it might have been you, because when it all cut out, your mic, I thought maybe it was you trying to get back in, and you're just catching wee bits of it, you know?
Never heard that. Never heard a sausage. Oh, there's a voice.
She's fixing your audio.
Yeah, that's what I thought. When your audio cut out, as you were talking, no realising the audio cut out, maybe I was catching a little bits of your voice coming through the audio. But it was
just so 2 seconds.
And it was a male voice.
Because I can't see you.
They're still there.
Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can see the beautiful lady too.
Your weird whispering should be away now.
It's whispering away now. Hey, Laura says she loves you.
The whispering was me.
It was you? Why were you whispering?
I wasn't, but Tammy wanted their headphones connected. So I turned her headphones on. And who was the last one to use the headphones? You and Laura. So the headphones automatically connected to the computer. I clicked when you said your mic went.
Right. Laura did one at the first mystery show the other week there, and so the headphones hooked up to the PC, but we didn't know they were still hooked up. The whispering was Sarah and the wee one, because they're right there beside me. Eileen and Laura know, because we've got it's an open plan kitchen, computer and living room. So they're actually right next to me. That's where the whispering was. These two buggers talking.
Well, debunked.
That's debunked. Aye. I thought we were a wee bit paranormal there for a wee minute or two.
I know, it was really good for a minute. I'm like, am I hearing this right?
I love you. Got to tell Laura you love her.
Nope.
No, she's not saying it, Laura, sorry.
I won't tell her when she's being needy.
I love you, Laura. How about that?
I'm very needy. There you go. I've lost track of what I was saying. Aye, what you were saying, Will, that's the other thing I wanted to come to. But I also want to come back to the manor. I've got a couple of questions about Jerry. About mimicking voices.
Right.
Right. Now, we had this at Dalcoham twice. We did Dalcoham with Spig one time, and I was in the basement myself doing a lone vigil, and everybody else was up the stairs. And I was doing the basement for about half an hour, 40 minutes. But when I came back up the stairs, Laura and Lindsay, Rigger's other half, were saying that they could hear me answering questions through I think it was an echophonic. So I thought at first they could hear me doing the basement. I said, well, you couldn't hear me because you can't hear anybody doing in the basement. You know. Says, no, we were asking questions and we were getting answers back in your voice. And then we did it with wee Rosie and her partner when they were up last year. And I was away, I went for a walkabout, and the same thing happened. Laura was there both times, so she'll back it up. So they said it was my voice. What do you guys think of that? Do you think spirit can impersonate you, if you want a better word?
Something can impersonate, because we get it too often for there not to be that opportunity of something being able to do that. Whether it's spirit as in someone that was previously human or something else, I can't answer.
Laura loves you so much, Kat.
I know she does. She's amazing.
It's like a big cheese show tonight, isn't it? Well, I don't know what I was going to say, a big cheese show.
I like cheese. William likes cheese. Cheese is great.
I like cheese, but I'm not a lawyer. That was freaky. It was your voice. I know your voice. I spent a lot of time with you. It was weird. See, I was in the basement, and there's no way on earth and I wasn't talking to anybody anyway, because I was just sitting down in the basement listening for, whatever might happen. So it's no if they overheard me, because I was saying bugger all. So that was kind of weird as well. Spirit mimicry is a form of poltergeist. So that's twice it's happened to us. But I want to get back to Jerry, because I find this guy fascinating now.
Okay.
Has anybody ever seen him? Have you ever seen him? Does he ever appear to anybody?
Not that I'm aware of at this point. I have not seen him. I have not had anybody report that they have seen him, no. It's really hard because we have a lot of things that get seen, and how do you identify if it is or is not Jerry if they have seen something?
Is there no any photographs or anything of the...
We have yet to find one. We don't have any photographs of Jerry.
I know some places, they do photographs of the patients in 1997 or, whatever.
We do not have any of that. If it was something that existed, it is long gone now, so...
Eileen's asking, is Jerry documented as a patient?
As a patient, technically no, but we have newspaper articles about the facility that do have Jerry in them. And we do have the documentation of Jerry, as well as staff that knew him personally that I have had discussions and interviews with. So the articles in the newspaper do have his name, and they state things specifically such as he played drums and sang at various events with the Edinburgh Band back in the 90s. And we do know the death records of him passing away. So that information with his obituary is accessible. We have information from staff that tells us the timeline and the existence of him in the building, and his demeanor and how he was as a person. I've talked to at least 5 or 6 people that knew him personally when they worked here, as well as a patient that knew him personally when they lived here.
I've got a question for Laura. It's similar to what I was going to ask you, but do you think, how can I put this? Do you think staff would find that weird that, they knew this gentleman in life, when he was alive and wandering about? Do you think they'd find it weird now that they're still talking to him in spirit?
Absolutely not, because most of the people that I've talked to have been people that I've talked to here at location while doing something related to the paranormal. So we had last year in March, we were here for a 2-day investigation, and this vehicle pulled up, and it was this little small lady and then a gentleman that was with her, and they were just checking out the property. He used to live here. He used to work here. And they were just stopping by because he likes to come and see it. And so he was here as a patient when Jerry was here as a patient, and she worked here as staff when Jerry was a patient. So she had all kinds of things to share. In fact, she's the one that told us that he used to run around in here wearing a raccoon hat. And that's the reason I went out and got a raccoon hat, because she was like, oh, and he used to sit in a rocking chair in this front room most of the days during the daytime when he was allowed to be out of the room and just socializing with others, that he would sit up in here. And she's the one that says that, his demeanor, he was always just a very positive, optimistic gentleman. And, it's just kind of awesome to be able to have those firsthand accounts. She loves to hear that Jerry comes and talks. She thinks it's pretty amazing that we get interactions with him.
Especially intelligent. And actually, I'll stick Laura's question upside. What about you in a second? What about you, Will? Obviously, Kat's had encounters with Jerry and what have you, and he seems to have a wee fondness for your missus. What about you and Jerry?
A few things. I don't have him as much as Kat does, obviously, but Kat's out there more than I'm are, But when we are there for like an overnight or 2 overnights, and we try to talk to Jerry, yeah, come through. And like Kat said, he has that positive demeanor, that happy-go-lucky attitude, Because, like Kat said about the lady that used to work there talking about Jerry, he would sit there and just socialise with a lot of people, He knew a lot of people in his life, so he's a very social creature. So it makes sense that social aspect of his sort of carries over with his personality. And then when you ask for him, he shows up, Do
you think, just for I put Laura's question up, do you think that he's aware that he's passed over? We've heard many times that, some spirit, they're not aware that they have actually passed. Do you think Jerry knows that he's passed? Or do you think
it's complicated because he passed away somewhere else. So for him to know to come back here, he has to at least know something's up, because this isn't where he even passed away. He had a long, it wasn't a sudden death. It was a long-term poor health deterioration that I don't think that he wasn't mentally in a state of knowing that that's what was happening. But again, we don't know.
That's it. You don't know 100%. Just for a quick question firing, and I'll put Laura's up. When did they pass?
I don't know the exact year off the top of my head. It was post 2000. So between 2000 and 2010. I'd have to go look it up.
There's Laura. Have you ever captured anything, or has anyone captured anything inside or outside the paranormal wise? But I was going to ask, I suppose it's similar to Laura's. Has Jerry, does he ever venture outside that you're aware of?
I'm trying to avoid loud traffic. Every now and then we get a loud truck out front. I have not personally captured anything, Jerry, out front, but I also have not asked Jerry to come talk to me out front. So I guess we got to add that to the list, William, for next investigation in 2 weeks.
Well,
if Jerry will talk to us outside.
A nice spring day or summer day, the residents would sit outside. Get a little bit of, a little bit of sun, a little bit of, I don't know.
Yeah. They used to sit out here on the little benches like that one and the one out front and just sit and watch the day.
This fake post 2000, 2 gentlemen. We go and we are in Vermano book. The guy, there's a picture of him and an old gentleman sitting outside, and they're waiting for traffic as traffic's going by. So we know they spend time outside, and for what talking to another staff member that I know, the band that they had would practice outside on a good day. But as
so chances are
no captured anything. But I don't see why we should ignore the outside part, because it was also important, because not only would the residents would have spent time there on a good day,
Mhm.
Prior to that, you get the poor farm where people are working and doing their stuff, you know?
Right.
But what about any other kind of paranormal wise, as Laura's asking, inside of it?
We have had a ton of stuff inside and out. There are more patients in this building still, or at least that pop in, than I can count. We get so many different names and so many different voices all over the place. Outside, we've had full investigations out here on the front lawn where we've interacted with various things out on the front lawn. There was an unfortunate accident on property not that many years ago, and we have encountered that individual out on the front lawn from the accident that they had out in the front. There's just a lot. There's a lot. And then we have the weird, I don't know what they are, things that wander around that I don't know that there's anything human about them. And we get some weird stuff with that. And it's just an interesting place. So.
I've got 2 minutes. I'm watching the time because I know you're going to be working, Cat. Well, Will sits at home, doing nothing basically, drinking beer probably and all the rest of it. Smoking.
He's sitting on a haunted couch, Scott. He's got to keep that couch in line. Did you see how many ghosts are there with him?
There's quite a few, actually, quite a few. Aye. If we can leave Edinburgh, man, there's no reason you can't sit outside having a conversation. It's true enough, and I've no doubt, he was there for 50 years, so no doubt there was quite a few times. You say the band used to practice outside as well.
Yeah.
Eileen's just asked one of the questions I was going to ask you. The spirits you've got so far all seem to be happy-go-lucky. What about negative? You get these kind of places, these care homes, whatever you want to call them, and there was always, like Nurse Ratched sort of type figure. Is there anything, you ever get anything negative or a negative nurse or something?
We have an entity down in the basement. He is most commonly referred to as the Joker. I don't investigate for that name at all. He was a patient at some point or worked here at some point, but the name is not known at this moment. We get a bunch of different names, so there's probably more than one guy down there. But he is named the Joker because of his behavior. So the nickname is because he does stuff like pushing and scratching and throwing dishes, and we get a lot of poltergeist stuff down there. Laughing, growling. We get disembodied voices. We get physical interactions. We have people see large, somewhere between 7 to 9 foot tall apparitions and figures down in the basement. It's just an overwhelming large amount of things that happen down there, most of which make people very uncomfortable and not want to come out. I don't remember when Haunted Nights was here, but Haunted Nights was just here and did a video not that long ago, which is a group of couple YouTubers. I came in for my normal check-in. I basically walked in the front door, kicked on my spirit box, and it was weird because usually it's like, hi, hello, or whatever. They just kind of spout out some random words. And I walk in the door and it was very emphasized, really weird. It was execute. It was like slowed down into parts like that. Execute. And I just jokingly, I'm like, yeah, no, not really up for that today. Let's figure out something else to talk about because, when they're getting sassy like that, I usually go to humor because that's me. And, I'm walking through and it keeps saying basement, basement, basement. It said it like 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, no, I'm doing my normal walkthrough. I'm going to go the same route that I always do. Half of first floor, all of second, back down to the other half of first. And then I'll go down to the basement. And I get to the top of the second floor and I'm walking past the center stairs and it goes, push you. And I'm like, no, let's not do that. Not really into that today. Really don't feel like falling down the stairs. I can do that on my own. I don't need any help. But it's just weird because it was like every word that was coming through was either something to do with going to the basement or something to do with wanting to cause harm. And I'm like, no, not really a fan of that today. But thank you. Thanks for mentioning it. And I finally go down to the basement and the energy is weird. You just kind of go down there and I'm like, I'm supposed to look at the dining hall. So I walked down through the kitchen. I turned, I looked at the dining hall and I saw a large shadow movement of something. Knowing I'm the only one there, I'm like, yeah, nope, not doing that. And as I'm going up the stairs, all of a sudden I've got burning on the back of my neck. kind of in between where my hand can't reach here. That part of your back you can't scratch. I have a big mark that went across my back. And I didn't do anything. I literally just walked down there because they told me to walk down there. I never even walked through the rest of it. I was like, yeah, nope, we're going to not do that today. So yeah, we do have things that are lesser than nice. They have physically encountered people. What's the reason? I don't know. Why scratch me? Not a clue. Was it for attention? Was it because they're mad? Was it, we can try to interpret or make our judgment of what we think it is a million times over, but the reality is I don't know.
We don't know. Laura's saying, like, Lisa, Ian and Lisa, they come through investigation, right, but we can't associate Lisa and Ian to Loudon as a dead end. Excuse the pun. Well, that, as far as I know, Lisa and Ian are father and daughter, but when yous were over, you picked up on a wee girl in the same area as we always picked up, in this wee girl. The funny thing was, Highland Paranormal and Eileen, they were there 3 weeks ago today, and they went to the same exact area that you guys went to, and everybody else has picked up on stuff. We can't associate with them, but you were there, Kat, and obviously you were there as well, Will. And you picked up on a wee girl as well.
Yeah.
Especially in the Celtic Cross area.
Yeah.
Because I mind you sitting. I fell upstairs last week, knocked down, and she broke her phone.
Oh no.
Me trying. Is it spirit trying to dominate you, Kat?
I don't feel that way. Nothing really gets me. I just kind of go through and do my thing and whatever, and it stays here, and I go and do my own thing. It's not a me thing. It's just in general. It's what they do. People come up out of that basement from a 1-hour tour and sometimes have scratches. I've had people go, like, again, when it's a tour, they're not even here to investigate. They're literally just walking through, hearing about the history and the paranormal. And every now and then somebody gets affected in a way that is just beyond what their expectation was for the place. It's just what it is.
So this is before I'm going to get all scientific now. So that's to be Will's department probably. We mentioned this in mails the other day, but about weather-wise. Now, obviously, you guys have been at Edinburgh Mansion for a long time. Different, because your weather kind of goes up and down, much like ours does.
Yeah.
Do you think the weather has any kind of impact on activity there?
So I have been here through even tornado warnings, and I find severe weather makes the place go completely quiet. But that is my personal consensus from multiple times being here in severe weather. If the weather goes really bad, the building goes absolutely silent. Except for your REM pods go off a whole lot, but thunder and lightning do that. And so that's not paranormal. But as far as activity, they just quit. Everything quits. Some other people have had different experiences. Some people swear that, you come in here and you have a thunderstorm, it's the best activity ever. But is there the best activity ever because their REM pod's going off and they don't know that severe weather electrical storms set off REM pods? I don't know.
Are they referring to REM pods? What were you, Will?
I think I agree with my cat. I think thunderstorms can do the opposite. It doesn't increase activity. It just I think an example of that is Beatty Mansion. When we went to Beatty Mansion, there was a storm coming in. And we were like, okay, it's a storm coming in. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a big night or nothing. And no, it shut the whole place down. Everyone just went quiet. I'm like, huh. It had the opposite effect. So I would agree with that.
It's just about the weather. Also, you guys have been there day, afternoon, night time, other things. What about time-wise? Do you think we've got an investigation lined up at the end of May at Loudon, an overnight investigation there, but the first one we've done there to see if activity changes or differs, whatever. What about you guys with Edinburgh Manor? Or any other location for that matter. Do you think that time can affect how spirit act or don't act, whatever?
I think it does. We get different activity during the daytime than we get at nighttime. The energy of the building is different during daylight hours. We get a lot more resident interactions. We get the footsteps. We get a lot of the disembodied voices. We get those at nighttime too, but it's just a different heaviness once the sun's down. I don't know if we make that happen ourselves with our mentality of this is what we're expecting. I don't know if our expectations set some of that, but I'm pretty open to whatever it's going to be, and I'm good with whatever. But it seems to consistently be different energy, different activity, daylight, than it is from dusk to overnight. So when the sun comes up in the morning, it's just a different atmosphere. It's different energy.
Well, do you agree with that, Will? Or you got a different?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. And you could also look at any location, like when would the location be most active? You think of a school. When's the school most active? During the day, right? So you think, well, activity can happen at any time. There's time's no prevalent in that. But looking at schools being most active during the day, you could say, well, I think activity would take place mostly during the day, and then at night it would sort of slow down. Edinburgh Manor is the same. Like during the day, it's a different kind of feeling because that's when the residents would be up. That's when they'd be socialising, doing their whatever little things a day. Then at night time, they'll go to bed, so it'll be a little quieter, other than staff going about. But that has a different feel at night. But that's every location has that kind of thing.
Aye, so the spirits are they've got their own kind of routine. Or I've got let me a question for you. There are 2 comments, and we'll call it quits. Or is it a case of it's different spirits at different times of the day? Spirit are used to going to the manor at, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but then you've got other spirits that are used to going. I know they don't have, don't go by a watch or anything like that, but they'll be able to sense themselves that, it's time to go to A, B, or C. Do you think maybe it's because it's different spirits?
Well, could be. What if those different spirits are family members of a person who used to be there?
And that's funny because we had that one guy that had a picture one time from the front lawn.
Yep.
In fact, I'll walk us out to the place. He was taking pictures out by the blue sign that I showed you earlier, Scott. And their picture that they had was a full picture of the front of the building. But they had the coolest, and I'll have to find it and share it again because it's a really great picture. But we have these 3 little windows right here. And the one right above my finger here, in his picture, there was a reflection of a lady. Mind you, these windows are up high because this floor is down low. This is like up at the ceiling level windows. And his picture has what looks like a lady's reflection in the window. And I responded to him because he's like, do you see this? And I'm like, it's like somebody is standing out in the lawn out here and you're seeing the whole outline of her in the window. So like I'm here and reflecting in that window there. So she would have been out here by the tree and you could see her face. You could see her coat. You could see she had a scarf and she's somewhere out here in the lawn showing up in a reflection in that window. And he's like, no, there was nobody on the lawn when I took the picture. And he gave me the big picture. And I'm like, no, I mean, you've got a ghost reflection of somebody in the lawn reflecting in the window. And we've had a couple investigations. They're like, the lady's name is Nancy and she had family members here. And Nancy's only outside. She's not able to go in the building because she's never been in there. And I'm like, I don't know what all that means, but how fascinating is that? We have a Nancy out on the front lawn.
It's quite fascinating. Dalcohan tour. We did Dalcohan a couple of years ago with Charlie and Rocks and what have you, and it was pitch black at night time, and there's a big courtyard in front. It's an old, big, massive manor house, mansion house, and there's no floors or anything, and apart from the ground floor and the basement, that's it. The rest is just a shell, 4 walls basically, and it was pitch black. So I was standing taking a couple of photos, and it was later on. I was looking at the photos and we noticed a light in what would have been one of the second floor windows. The one, they say there's no flares in the building, so there was nobody else in the building. But I shared this photo out about, and you can clearly see a light in this window. when it shouldn't be any light in the window. There's nothing, and there was nothing that could have made the light. We had been back since at night time, and we had a look at the building to see is there anything that could have created it, but there's not a thing. And it was, and the other weird thing was when we were standing taking the pictures, it was pitch black. So if there had been a light, we would have seen it.
Right.
But there was nothing. Well, Perry's 2 comments up, and then we'll wind it up. One's for Laura. I know you've investigated different places, things and places. What's been the biggest evidence you've captured to validate the paranormal? That's to all 3 of you.
To validate, I don't think anything we've ever captured validates anything. I think it's all experience, and people have their reasonings to believe or not believe the things that we have. We just did an investigation at a location for an event, and we were up on the 3rd floor of a place called Galena Cellars, and I went into an Estes session, and one of the guests of this event, who I have not pre-planned anything with, apparently my answers were accurate enough to his questions while I was doing Estes that one of the other guests of this public event thought that I was faking everything. And
Right.
that's pretty astounding, because I would not have any reason or have known any of the information of any of the things that he was asking.
Mm-hmm.
And I only just got to listen to those before driving out here today. And some of it's actually unbelievable that we're getting answers to questions accurately, but you can either believe or disbelieve. You know, I love those experiments because I believe that's where we get more information than any of the other things that we do. But, you know, believe it or don't believe it is where we're stuck. And I don't think that anything that we have validates anything to anybody that doesn't want to believe it.
What were you, Will?
Actually, so Kat was at Edinburgh Manor by request to another group. A friend of hers named Ashley. She was with a couple of other people. And they had been doing in the basement. They were sitting on the laundry side. So as you walk into the laundry room, there's a sink. So Kat was sitting with her back to that, doing an Estes, and then you have a hallway going up towards what they call the dining room. And Kat had sat up the night before. She's like, I couldn't sleep. I was sitting just listening back to the stuff that was getting said. And she says, tell me what you hear. So she gives me the headphones. She takes me to the part where just before I hear it. And I'm hearing Ashley and somebody else talking. Kat says something like, behind you.
Behind you.
Behind you. And then I hear this guy scream. Now, there's nobody else on property. It's just them in the basement. But this guy sounds like he's screaming in the hall.
Mm-hmm.
It was so clear and so loud that I took the headphones off, replayed it, and you can hear this guy scream like he's in pain. You know, like he stubbed his toe or something. I don't know. But the sound in me, I was like, that's so loud. I mean, the thing that caught me off guard was it's such a loud scream, but nobody hears it audibly because people continue talking like, oh, let's ask this, or, you know, that kind of thing. They don't hear it audibly.
Mm-hmm.
But we're hearing it on here, a guy screaming. And I'm like,
yeah. I'm going to get that clipped this week, William, so that we can share that out because it's pretty phenomenal. It doesn't have just one scream. It's the same voice screaming a second time, like 50 seconds later.
And I'm like, is that am I hearing a residual scream for something? Am I hearing a genuine scream? I know there was nobody outside. You know, there's nobody outside their own property. You know, and if there was somebody on property, you'll hear their car going around. You know, you see the lights and everything. Then nothing. Just Kat, Ashley, and a few of our friends just inside that little section of the basement by themselves. That's where everybody was situated. Nobody else was in anywhere else in the building. So I'm like, that's pretty.
You see, things like that, you try and nail a logical explanation, but you can't. I mean, Laura says question say 3, so I would need to say it's. I mean, we've had loads of things happen at Loudon Cut EVPs and stuff that we cannot explain. They've been answered on, you know, in response to whatever we've been asking. The TV, the two biggest things that stick in my mind is, well, we've always felt there was a little girl followed us around in investigations. I think I told you this, but, and, you know, every investigation, Edinburgh, Loudon, wherever we go, we've always felt there's been a wee girl there. No Lisa, you know, somebody else. So we did stay, I don't know, the wee village in Ayrshire about 2 years ago, and there was about 6 or 7 days there, and we felt this little girl was there. So I asked, because I lost a daughter way back in 1992, called Donna, and I asked, was that you, Donna? You know, and so I says, if it is you, can you tell me the toy I used to put in your bed every night? And didn't get any reasonable answers. So I says, can you tell me what colour it was? And everybody heard it. We get back, came back, green, clear as a bell. And Donna, she had a little Rexy for Toy Story. And I used to put that in her cot every night. And of course, Rexy's green.
Yep.
Right.
And then when Rosie and I were up last year, we were at Loudon, and I did a lone vigil about 2 years ago in Loudon, and I felt my sleeve getting tugged twice. The left-hand sleeve get tugged twice. I was the only one there. So when Rosie and I was up, I asked, can you tell me who it was that pulled on my sleeve when I was here before? And we didn't pick up at the time, but it was later on we were listening back and we go through, it was me, Daddy.
Oh, wow.
And it was clear as a bell. Sarah heard it, Laura heard it as well. She says it was me, Daddy. And that was directly after
awesome.
I asked, who was it that pulled on my sleeve? You know. So that, I mean, that's what validates it for me. You know, I mean,
Right.
some might say, well, I'm still sceptical and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, that's fair enough. But when you get things like that just totally kind of nail it. I mean, when they came back, the colour was green. I was blown away that day. I was in shock. You know, and Laura and Sarah will tell you, I didn't know what to say. So it's things like that you just can't debunk. Last one is Island saying air pressure may affect spirit. I think we were talking back to the top about the weather and stuff like that.
I think spirit can definitely affect air pressure as well. So I think that goes both ways. Yes, I agree. I agree on that.
Still gets me goose. Implied that was your daughter. She's still with you every day. You know, well, so when you heard it was me, Daddy, so that's, and then they call him that ended me. But we'll wind up there, folks. I'll keep a hold of you after we come off, as per normal.
Yep.
So where can people find you? And don't say Edinburgh Manor, because we know you're there now.
Right here.
I will talk about this exact moment in time.
This place. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok, sort of. I'm slacking really, really, really badly on TikTok. We have not been active on there for months. But we are on all three places. We have some great videos out on TikTok.
Just catch up with me, Eileen.
All three of them are at Paranormal Exposures. So just Paranormal Exposures is how you find us. I also have a page called Catomancy, which is where I do my spiritual readings and other fun, more witchy stuff on that page as well. So all of that.
So you'll find Will on the couch
with all the ghosts.
With all the ghosts.
He may or may not be real.
Thanks for the great live, guys. I'll drop your message tomorrow, Kat. I'll see you tomorrow, boss. And I have hairdressing duties. Night, guys. Love you.
Love you, Laura.
Does here.
And bye to Eileen.
No mind. Eileen, I'll drop you a wee mail tomorrow, dogs. I want to speak to you, actually, Fleur. So that's it for tonight. Go and check these guys out. Go and check Kat and Will out. I still can't do it. We'll be 5 years old in May, June time. So I've been doing this for about 5 years, you know, and I still, do you know what I mean? I can't get used to the mirror. But go and check them out and check out Edinburgh Manor as well. You'll find it on Google. Get a wee Google search and have a wee read. And you'll find out about it on their their pages as well, obviously.
And we are going to be investigating here in 2 weeks on the 25th and the 26th. So you can catch us live inside the building in 2 weeks. So
as long as Will doesn't wear shorts. Romsey.
You want him to wear a skirt?
No, jeans, preferably. He wear a skirt if he wants. Do tell up to yourself.
No shorts, just a skirt. Got it. He has a really nice blue princess dress. Would you like him to wear that?
Oh, I wear that. That'd be nice. Has he got a wee tiara to go with?
Actually, yes, and a wig, a blonde wig.
I stick that one. Does he wellies?
No.
No, but we can get him some.
Get him some wellies. I think that would go nice with his dress. A pair of wellies. What do you think? Right, we're just getting silly now. There's images in my head that just shouldn't be.
Yeah, you can just take those and dream about them tonight, Scott. You're welcome.
No, I'm not dreaming about it. You know. Oh, absolutely. Wear the dress. That's you, Will. You need to wear the dress now. You're going to have people watching to see if you wear a dress. I'm thinking plenty saying that. Same as me, Island. I ain't saying nothing. You mind that episode in Friends with Phoebe with her eyes? Was that my eyes, mind? No, you don't remember?
I never watched Friends.
I didn't watch Friends either. Nope.
One of the best sitcoms ever made.
Better things to do, like this.
Aye, that's a good thing to do. But I don't know ways I've missed it. So we're going to wind up there, folks, after we're finished getting images of Will in a dress. This just shouldn't happen. And we're back tomorrow night. We unlock a brand new victim, unlock paranormal. The brain stops, the mouth does not.
Uh-oh.
That's all we're saying. So thanks very much to these two guys, guy and girl, for coming in. Give them a look up. And thanks you for coming in, watching us and your comments and stuff like that. And we'll see you tomorrow night. All right, folks, take care. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.